morning, you might sip coffee from Brazil, use a phone made in China, wear clothes stitched in Bangladesh, and drive a car designed in Japan. But have you ever stopped to wonder how do all these products reach you from halfway across the world? That invisible system that moves goods, money, and ideas between countries is called global trade. In this video, we'll explore how global trade really works, what imports and exports mean, how supply chains connect countries like a giant web, and why events like wars or pandemics can shake the world economy. By the end, you'll understand not just how things move across the globe, but how global trade shapes your life every single day in ways you might never have realized. Main section, 11 minutes. Part 1. What is global trade? Let's start simple. Global trade means buying and selling goods and services between countries. If India sells software to the USA, that's an export from India and an import for the USA. If India buys oil from the Middle East, that's an import for India and an export for Saudi Arabia. Trade allows countries to specialize in what they do best. For example, Japan specializes in high tech electronics, India excels in IT services, Brazil exports coffee, Australia exports iron ore. No country produces everything it needs. So, nations trade, exchanging products, skills, and knowledge. This global exchange helps improve quality, lower prices, and raise living standards worldwide. Part 2. The birth of modern global trade. Trade isn't new, it's ancient. It began with barter systems thousands of years ago. Then came trade routes like the Silk Road connecting China to Europe, carrying silk, spices, and ideas. But modern global trade exploded after the Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th centuries when steamships and railways made transport faster and cheaper. Then came container shipping in the 20th century, one of humanity's biggest economic revolutions. A single steel box, the shipping container, standardized global trade. Today, over 90% of global trade by volume travels by sea inside those containers. Part 3. Understanding imports and exports. Every country records trade in two ways: exports, what it sells to the world, brings money in; imports, what it buys from the world, spends money on. For example, India exports software, medicines, and jewelry, but imports oil, gold, and electronics. The difference between exports and imports is called the trade balance. If exports greater than imports, trade surplus. If imports greater than exports, trade deficit. Trade isn't just about products, it's also about services. For example, when an Indian engineer works remotely for a US company, that's an export of services. Part 4. What is a supply chain? Now, here's the interesting part: supply chains. When you buy a smartphone, it's not made in just one country. Let's take an iPhone as an example. Its design is from California. Chips might come from Taiwan, screens from South Korea, cameras from Japan, assembled in China, sold across the world. This is the global supply chain, a network of factories, ships, and people working together to turn raw materials into finished products. Supply chains make things efficient and cheaper, but also fragile. If one link breaks, say a factory closes, a port gets blocked, or a war starts, the entire chain can collapse. Remember 2020? The pandemic shut factories, blocked ports, and suddenly the world ran out of chips, cars, and even toilet paper. That's the power and vulnerability of global trade. Part 5. Why global trade matters. Global trade isn't just about goods, and it's about growth, jobs, and peace. Countries that trade are often less likely to fight because they depend on each other economically. Trade builds relationships, creates innovation, and helps developing nations rise out of poverty. But it also brings challenges: trade wars, inequality, and environmental concerns. That's why modern trade is guided by global organizations like the World Trade Organization, WTO, which ensures fair play and resolves disputes between nations. So let's recap what we've learned today. Global trade connects the entire planet through buying and selling. Imports and exports are the building blocks of every economy. Supply chains are the hidden networks that bring products to your doorstep. And events like pandemics or conflicts can shake the entire global system. The next time you use your phone, wear your favorite shoes, or drink your morning coffee, remember you're part of this massive global web of trade. Global trade is not just about goods, it's the story of human cooperation, creativity, and connection. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my 100 Days of Learning series, where we explore amazing topics about science, technology,